In several anime series and in many visual novels I've seen, the plot is that Japan's birth rate is declining, and more people need to have kids, which obviously means more intimacy between men and women. Before they get intimate, they obviously have to get married first, which is why anime series such as Love and Lies really push the idea of getting married, even if it's not someone you picked yourself. In that anime series, the government chooses a person you have to marry in the future. This kind of plot definitely makes sense for a visual novel because many visual novels are all about the characters getting intimate. But why does this problem exist in the first place? Just why is Japan's birth rate declining? The answer is pretty simple when you think about it. Less women in Japan are getting married. They're fine with being single. But why is that the case? It's that way because, obviously, times have changed. This isn't just a Japan problem. South Korea has a lower birth rate than Japan. In fact, many countries have declining birth rates. We all know what has changed. The change is obvious, especially on social media. There is a strong movement for women to have independence and not needing a man in their life. Instead, focus more on their careers. This should sound familiar because it's the exact same thing that is happening in the United States. More women are fine with being single and not getting married. After all, they don't want to rely on a man for everything. They want independence. With the rise of social media, people are getting more exposure to women being single in their 20s and living a happy life. You see this on TikTok a lot. Because of this, there isn't a shame of being single and not having kids. It actually feels more normal for women to be single now and be more focused on their careers. By getting married and having kids, it means sacrificing your career. In Japan, it is looked down upon for a mother to work and not be a stay at home mom. It makes it seem like you're dedicated to your work and not to your kids. Now, of course, the argument could be made that it's too expensive to have a family unless both parents are working. But even so, it's still frowned down upon because you're letting someone else take care of your kids and raising them. So there is social pressure for a woman to completely give up her career, and most women don't want that. So best way to avoid this is not get married and not have kids in the first place. The satisfaction women get from a career seems to outweigh the satisfaction from having a family. The other obvious reason why the birth rate is declining is because taking care of kids is expensive and takes much of your time. Many people can't afford having kids, even if the government tries to help with the cost of having kids. The cost of taking care of kids has risen too high, especially with inflation. Now, of course, the argument that people will make against this is that many people in the past had to deal with the hardship of being poor and having to take care of a family. Not to mention, in many countries today, most of the people there are poor and still have lots of kids. There shouldn't be an excuse of it being too expensive. That's the thing though. Why would people today feel a need to go through being poor and dealing with financial hardship? Why put yourself through that? Why not focus on your career, focus on yourself, and live the best life for yourself? Some people will say, because that kind of life will make you feel lonely and empty. Well, clearly women in Japan don't feel that way. It really does feel like the argument of getting married and having kids comes down to morality. That, as a human, you have an obligation to get married and have kids in order to ensure humanity's survival. That's the most important thing in life, is to have a family. That will provide you stability in your life and instill good values. That obviously seems appealing to more religious people. But considering people today are getting less and less religious, that way of thinking just isn't appealing to them. Today is more about individualism and living the kind of life that'll make you most happy. So, how does the birth rate of Japan get fixed? Even if you somehow magically fix the cost of taking care of a kid, the birth rate will probably still decline. There is still that social pressure that mothers should be stay-at-home moms. In order to really improve the birth rate, you have to shift the mindset of people to a more traditional sense, which means getting married in your early 20s and having kids, which also means women focusing more on their families than their careers. Now, obviously, that will never happen. People don't feel the need to get married and have kids by their early 20s. Why deal with that burden? In the past, people had more of an urge to have a family, but that is not the case now. It's all about living the best life you can have, which for many people does not include having kids. So Japan's birth rate and population will continue to decline more and more. And why should people care? By the time it really becomes a major problem, it'll probably be over 100 years by now. So it's not their problem. Why should they care? Japan's low birth rate is talked about a lot because it doesn't sound good that Japan's overall population is declining at a concerning rate. However, there are other countries with even lower birth rates. This isn't a Japan problem, it's a worldwide problem. You can talk about solutions, but solutions seem impossible. You can't tell people what to do. It's as simple as many women wanting to focus on their careers. You simply can't tell people to have more kids. This is real life, not an anime or a visual novel.